What it is, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. So, this weekend we got a little something different. We got ourselves a 2011 Dodge Nitro 4.0 V6. Misfire on number 5 cylinder. Now, I did all the normal checks, coil, all that stuff, whatnot, and all. Now, this belongs to a buddy of mine. About 30,000 miles ago, they had this problem. Not only does it have a misfire, but it has what sounds like a lifter tap. Had a set of cylinder heads put on it. That fixed it. You got about 30,000 roughly, and it started doing it again. So he's pretty sure it needed another cylinder head. So I started to tear it down because we needed the casting number off the cylinder head to get the correct cylinder head. But I stopped once I found this. What did I find? Now, a little backstory on these 4.0s. They're very similar to the 3.5 V6. And I happen to remember, because I used to work at a Dodge dealer, I happen to remember that there was something goofy with the rocker arms, rocker shaft, something. So the other day before I really started tearing it down, I called over to my parts guy at the Dodge dealer, got talking to him. He looked it up, and lo and behold, there was an updated rocker shaft for these motors. And lo and behold, they got one in stock. Now, usually when they stock some kind of goofy part like this, that means there's a pretty good chance that they have known problems. Well, I called my buddy and I said, hey man, did they put rocker shafts and everything on this thing with heads on? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Well, I got the valve covers off of it the other night, and I'm going to say they probably did not. And the reason why is rocker shafts and semi are the same left and right on this motor. So if they put new ones on, I don't know if you can see it, why would they write right front, left front? Because this is for the passenger side and this one is for the driver's side. So why would somebody take a magic marker and write that on there? Other than they tore it apart, marked everything, separated, kept everything separate, then put it back together. Been down this road before. So it was done, I'm pretty sure he said it was done under warranty, some kind of factory warranty. And I'll tell you, sometimes I hate coming behind other people's work, and I'll show you why. So I'm tearing this thing down, and I don't know if it's just laziness, sloppiness, or I just don't care. But when you're working on a job, now I break these things all the time myself. See that? Every single one of these that holds a wire loom onto the engine and the intake manifold and all that stuff, every single one of them broke, and they left all the broken ones hanging there. Now, it takes a few minutes, seconds, minute, whatever. This is a nice little tool, actually. I picked it up off of Amazon. Don't ask me the part number, I don't know, but you can find it. It's for removing plastic clips and stuff, but it also works really good to remove these little guys. These, I like to call them one-time use only. You can grab, well, see, that one just broke. There's a prime example. But they broke the actual zip tie part. Now, how hard is it to take and remove that? And as you can see on the valve cover, where it went through, there's a hole. See it? Put a zip tie on it. Take the broken clip off, throw it in the trash, put a zip tie on it. Make it look like you weren't there. Or at least if you were there and it broke, you cared enough about your work that you would do that. It's a pet peeve of mine. So anyway, back to what was wrong with this turd. Get the valve covers off. Right away, I seen the problem. What did I say? I'll show you. So I get the valve cover off. The rocker assembly just sits on the top of the cylinder head. Camshaft runs through the center of the cylinder head. This is 4 valves per cylinder. I get it apart, and then I noticed this gap right here. I went, awful odd. So I unbolt the rocker assembly, get it off. All the rockers, every one of them, move free. This one won't move free. Why? See that? The tower. This thing walked over and rubbed its way into this tower, wore the tower down, and got jammed up in here. So there's my tap. There's my misfire because it's not opening the valves up. So what I'm going to do, just to verify everything, just to be 100% sure, I'll pull the plugs, and I'm going to put air in the cylinders, because right now, as I've got it, with both sides apart, now I did tear down the driver's side, just to make sure we didn't have anything going on with that rocker shaft. Everything looks good. But this motor is 4 valve per cylinder. So with the rocker arms removed, I can put air in my cylinders and see if it holds and make sure I don't have any leakaging past my valves, which I'm going to say I'm 99% positive I don't. After seeing that, I'm pretty sure that's our issue with our misfire and our tapping noise. Now, the tapping noise wasn't that loud. It sounded like, you know, a lazy lifter tap is what it sounded like. But we definitely had a misfire on number 5. And it was weird. You could start this thing up. Sometimes it runs just as smooth as could be. Sometimes you start up, it was missing. But it was missing enough to set the check engine light, and that's an issue. So I'm going to put some air in the cylinder here in a little bit and check it. But I'm pretty sure. Now, another problem you'll have with these Nitros with the 4.0 is if they ran that thing too long that way, it's possible that at a highway speed and you're buzzing the motor pretty good, it's very possible that eventually it could either tear the camshaft up or it can destroy the rollers on the rockers. Or I have seen them where they'll bend the top of the valve. It'll bend the top of the valve over because it is not running. You know, the rocker shaft is not running where it belongs to. It is walked over. Some extreme cases, it could walk all the way off and just push down on the retainer. But they're pretty extreme and extremely rare. I've actually never seen one, but I know a friend that has worked on one and told me that happened. Dropped the valve and destroyed the motor. We're way not even close to that kind of problem. It actually started making a noise on them, and it was getting a little roughness out of it, and they actually did stop driving it. So we're going to check that, and then I am going to more than likely just go ahead and pick up the rocker arm assembly. It's a little pricey, but it is what it is. You want it fixed, it is what it is. It's sad that I think this thing has a whole 70,000 miles on it now. They roughly put 30,000 on since the heads were done, and obviously because it's 11, it's definitely out of warranty of time. They don't drive this thing hardly. It stays like in a 10-mile radius of their home, and they don't use it, you know, heavily. So it doesn't get a lot of usage, but still 70,000 miles, and it needs this. It's kind of sad. So I'll pick up the rocker assembly, and we'll make the repair, and I'll share on the next video how everything turned out. Just thought I'd share a little something different on the channel today, since it's always Ford. I do work on other stuff, and I do have knowledge in other toilets. And that's why I like to call late model stuff toilets. So I'm going to share a clip here at the end of this video of another buddy of mine's truck that I worked on. It had lost a wheel bearing. It's it's not 2000. It's a 98 four-wheel drive 1500 Dodge pickup. It had lost the passenger side hub bearing. Well, those trucks have a solid front Dana 44 axle in them. When the wheel bearing went bad, the axle kind of moved around and it destroyed the inner axle seal, so it was leaking gear oil out. Well, I used to have a tool for installing those seals, and I must have lent it out years ago because I haven't done one in a long time. So I must have lost the tool somewheres or lent it out. And, well, I tried to come up and rig up something to put the seal in. Now, the problem is the seal needs to go in. If this were the axle tube, the seal needs to go in this way. Now, normally a seal, you would be putting it in like that. And drop it. I'm back. Normally, you would be putting the seal in this way. So you can take something and tap on it, put it in. This seal needs to go in this way, which makes it very difficult to pound that seal in. Not only that, you're working in an opening about that big. So I tried a little something. I took a piece of 2-inch exhaust tube. I was looking for a piece on the floor here because I cut it the other day. So I took a piece of exhaust tube, I welded a washer to it, and I put it in there, and I tried to, with a piece of all thread through here, and pull it in. Didn't work. Because the 2-inch exhaust tube isn't really pushing, see how much room there is? That idea won't work. It destroyed the seal. So I was getting ready to pull the trigger and buy the seal tool, the actual tool for this, but it's $100. and I wasn't going to get it for a couple of days. I was like, I want to get this thing done. Light bulb went off in the old head. Came up with this little sweet number. This is a 2-inch hole saw. I put a little bit of electrical tape, wrapped it around there. I grinded all the teeth off. And with the electrical tape, it fits nice and tight. So now I'm pushing on this area right here. How I did that was, what did I do with here it is. Now, like I said, you're working through a little square opening. Piece of all thread, and you need a piece of plate. Put the all thread through the tube, put this through the hole, put it together, put a nut on here, and gently tighten the nuts up. And what it does is it pulls this piece in. Put the seal right in the tube with no problems. Now you're probably asking me, why do I have another new seal in my hand if I already installed one? Well, I bought 2 seals since I destroyed the first one. I figured I'll probably destroy another one, but actually it went right in with no problems. So I'm going to put a little video here at the end. I did a little TikTok video on it the other day, so I figured I'd just share that with you. If you, this trick will also work on your other Dana 44, Dana 60 axles. But a lot of times once you get the carrier out, a lot of times you can put something in there and you got a little swing room with a hammer or something as well. I actually have a tool for those that actually pushes on each side. Has a little spot here, and then it has a cone that fits on the seal, and then you just tighten it up and it moves it out. But that wouldn't work with this. And the way that cone is, the problem is this goes in pretty deep. So this part needed to be smaller than the seal. And the die that I have for doing them inside is a little bit bigger, so it wouldn't fit in the actual hole. So I couldn't use the die from the other kit that I have for putting the other axle seals in. That's why I needed something that was just a hair. As you can see, it's just a hair under. That way when it goes in, it goes right in the tube with no problem. I put it right in, didn't have any problems. It's back together. A couple other little things to it, and then I'm going to drive back down the beach, drop it to my buddies. So that's it for this week on the channel. Maybe you got a little something out of it. Maybe you didn't. But, maybe that'll help you out. But don't always, when you get something with a misfire and you've done the old switch to coils and all that crap and you still got a misfire, don't be scared to go a little bit deeper and investigate. I went ahead and pulled. He was just ready to throw a head on this thing. But I had my suspicions about it. So, I would have had to tear it apart either which way. But once I saw that, I put the brakes on and checked the other side, and we're going to put rocker. Either which way, it's going to need a rocker shaft anyway. We'll rocker shafts on and put it back together, but I'm almost 99% sure she's going to be tits. Holla at your boy. Catch me on the next one. What it is, what's happening? 98 Dodge, 4-wheel drive, half-ton pickup with a Dana 44 front axle. How many of you guys had to put the inner axle seal in on the passenger side and had no way of putting this little guy in? Well, I used to have a tool for pressing these seals in, but I must have lent it out, can't find it. So the other night, I came up with this little sweetheart, which is just a piece of exhaust tube with a washer, and I just kind of tacked it all together, put the axle seal in. Well, as you can see, that didn't work. So I reinvented myself, and I came up with this. 2-inch hole saw, grinded the teeth off, put a little bit of electrical tape around the outside so that the seal fits on there tight. So I'm actually pushing on the inside of the seal, not on the rubber, on the very, very edge of this, right on the edge of this rubber. Let me show you how it all goes together. Now, I also have a piece of all thread with a piece of plate. Let me show you how it works. Now, what makes putting these seals in so difficult is you're working in this little space here. So this guy that I made is going to go inside there. So you set your hole saw in there like that. Put your nut on. There's your all thread. Your all thread goes all the way through the tube, all the way around. That here. Now the plate's on the outside because obviously it'll fall through the hole. Gently tighten the bolts up and pay attention to make sure that as you're tightening it up, you don't let this thing get like this, crooked, and make sure it stays straight. Then, when you're all done, take it back apart, get rid of the all thread. It's a little dark, but your seal is now inside. This little trick will work on all half-ton and three-quarter-ton trucks. Just make sure you grind all the teeth off your hole saw. I've seen some other guys talk about using these. I like the electrical tape on there because it keeps it nice and tight, and you can actually press it on there and it'll stay. Now, the way that hole's made inside there, it's got a little bit of a concave to the beginning to help it start. But like I said, as you're tightening these nuts up, just keep your eye on it. Make sure it doesn't do one of these numbers. I just kind of kept a little pressure on it with a pry bar as I went with the wrench and tightened the all thread up. Popped right in, no problem. But the first tool did not work that I made. I wish I could find the actual tool that I bought because it was over $100, but I must have let it out. I probably do one of these every 10 years, it seems like. So, holla at you, boy.